Okay, it's just pushing through. Oh my word. I'm on vacation this week.
Oh, nice.
It's been great. You know what I've done this week? Welcome everyone. A lot of nothing, and it's been fabulous.
And when you say a lot of nothing, what do you mean by nothing? Because
Nothing that I've had to do. Okay, so I had one thing, but we had a baby shower. Well, Nicole had a baby shower. I went to that. But no, I did what did I just working on projects around the house. I tie-dyed a hoodie today. We're just working on different things. Now I'm totally lost, thinking, what have I actually done? I worked on some stuff for my group tonight. Oh, hi, Tom. Uh, what else did I do? Trying to think of what I even watched. I tried not to get consumed into certain things on TV the last couple days. So what did I watch? Just monotonous sort of things, but just a lot of chillaxing, just relaxing, not doing too much. Haven't really slept. But that's okay. That was sort of my thing though, because I'm doing those infusions now. So they,
right.
right? So my body's adjusting, which is okay.
Did
And
you,
yeah,
did you
just
plan that? Did you plan your week off around that?
no.
Okay, so you just happen to have a week off because you weren't doing the infusions last week, were you, or were you?
Yeah, I'm but yeah, I'm on my I've had two so far.
Oh, I'm trying to get comfortable here.
Two and a million to go.
Okay.
So
Well,
yeah. Yeah, so that's okay. So I've been doing that and I don't know. Now I'm questioning what exactly I have got done. I was going to go visit my buddy today and I decided, I don't know, it didn't work out. So I don't know. I'm just going to continue to organize. Downtime is important,
yeah, yeah, we
right?
forget that.
So yeah. And I think, we don't rest properly. So I've been working on that, resting, just chilling out.
Yeah,
Me
I've
and
actually
Kevin.
been talking to there's just a few people since last week, talking about what resting looks like, um,
Hmm.
and it's just different, right? For some people, it's like, well, like I didn't work this week, but like I built a tree house and I painted my garage floor gray, and I did like so. There's people that just they have to keep busy, right? So depending on what type of
Oh, absolutely.
personality you are, right?
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. That's a
and
lot of the problem that happened at COVID because
yeah,
people are like, what? I have to stop. What?
yeah,
Right? I think that was a shock for a lot of people.
yeah. I'm just putting
Exactly.
say hi if you're here because I still can't see anybody.
Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, and a friendly reminder if you're watching it after the fact, go ahead and put comments in. It flags us. And we can definitely respond to that. Absolutely. You know what I should have been doing? Cleaning my office. That's what I probably should have been doing, Tom.
Are you when you clean your office, do you take one pile and rearrange it to another place and then
You see that?
just
That's a whole pile.
shift things?
I do. I'm a shifter mover. I'm a
Yeah,
dodger mover. And then the others, ah, and you know what? This is where I have so many things that I'm doing all the time that
right.
so and then I have so many things that I do that don't pay me, but they consume a lot of time and space, but give me joy. Do you know what I mean? So just sort of keep, and then this like that we do, I do a weekly newsletter. I do all sorts of things. So I end up with all these pads of paper and then trying to stay organized. But maybe that'll be my task for tomorrow because I still have 3 days off.
Good
Yes,
for you.
I know, right? I'm
Yeah.
excited.
So yeah, it's funny. So for me, one of my weaknesses is paper. And you do the post-it notes. I do post-it note too, but I have like probably 37 books, and I use one for this and then for
I
work and
got books
here. And
too. Yeah.
I got a new one yesterday. I had to get refills for a book I use for work, but I got this one because I needed another book.
Okay. Just get them at the dollar store.
No, I go to Staples.
Why?
I
Why?
know because this this is a hard kind of cover. It was still only a couple bucks. I buy stuff from,
Dollar store isn't the dollar store anymore. Haven't you heard? It's like
yeah,
the
it's like $2.
$5 store now.
Yeah, some of the stuff's just not very good, right?
Well, like everything, you have to be choosy, right?
Yeah,
You know what a lot of people are doing. A lot of people are getting their groceries there. I see
yeah,
that a lot. Now, mind you, they have manwich sauce there. They have real rice aroni. So again, be it wouldn't be the only place I shop. But that being said,
dollar
yeah,
store.
see, I got a ton of those because
Yeah.
I use them for my coaching and whatever. My books breed books when I'm not looking, right?
See, we talked before about just economy and people needing to save when they can save, right? And and I really have a love hate, you know this already, but a love hate with processed foods.
Oh,
And we have to, so I see the manwich. I don't know if I've ever tried it. I may have tried it once.
really?
But yeah, it's just, I don't know, like I just, it's good for me now, and I'm able to do it. It's not very difficult, but you see some of the food pictures I post, right? But to me, like to cook up some vegetables or make a salad and cook up some protein, chicken,
Oh
pork, beef,
yeah. It's no,
I
it's
could do
only
it
good
like
in the rush.
I do it in 10 minutes, right? So for
But
me, and I think because of my digestive tract, right? I think I believe it's better for me. Well, it is, but the less sodiums and that I put into my body. So I was talking to mom about that too, about processed food. She's working through like arthritis and just pain. You talked to her today, right?
I did. I sent her a
She,
picture this morning.
she told me, and
I'm
she was
sure she
happy.
did.
But
Because that's one
yesterday,
thing we have in common, me and her.
what?
Some of our likes.
There you go. Oh, right, right, right. Yeah. So one of her new likes,
I
so
didn't
she,
expect her to be up though at 6 in the morning. That threw me off. I was like, oh
well,
snap.
okay. So 6 o'clock my time, which is
That's
her time.
that's what I'm talking about.
Also, it was 9 o'clock your time.
Yeah.
Okay. She messages me. She does this. She'll never be on here. She's not invited. Well, I mean, she can
Well,
go on
I
YouTube.
wouldn't care if she was on here.
Well, no,
But
whatever. Maybe one day. She has
yeah.
to she has to earn the badge. Anyways, so so she um so she messages me. As soon as she gets up, she'll message me, say, hey, good morning, my boy. That's her kind of thing, right? And my
Right.
son does the accent way better than me, kind of mocking, but in fun.
And yeah,
And
cool.
so I'm up and I'm doing stuff. I'm doing kind of work stuff because I do some stuff in the east, and and then I see on my phone, my private phone, personal phone, like I'm going. So my brain, and I tell her this, and I have to stop and take a breath. I go like, she goes, oh, I'm up. I'm going back to bed, my boy, and I
That's
go
what
like,
she told me. Yeah.
yeah, like, are
She
you
said
fearful that you may not wake up, but you want to say goodbye the
she
last time?
says to me, well, I'm going back to bed. I sleep better in the day.
So the other thing, she'll never be on here. She'll kill me for this, but whatever. She might forget because she forgets stuff.
There
So
you
she's
go.
really, really bad arthritis. So this is talking about things similar, right?
Right.
Really bad arthritis. She's on Tylenol 3 and just stuff that ruins her guts and all that, right?
That's
So I
right.
see her, and we don't like to see our friends and family, maybe
No.
even our enemies, some of us, in pain, right? So I see her like almost every day. So I'm going nuts. So, and her and I, because we see each other all the time, is she says something, it triggers me. She'll use like even a word or a phrase, and we're going to talk about how to dismantle hate a bit. So I'll share a couple things because whatever, because it's a learning thing, right?
Yeah,
And
of
so,
course.
so she's in pain. I go, Mom, like, and I'm trying to explain to her about what arthritis is. She kind of knows, but like part of me goes, well, stop complaining if you're not going to do something different. So I went to our store. I'm going to show this real quickly. Ready?
Okay.
See it?
Oh, yeah.
So it's only a single one, but it's 100. It's 100.
This is
It's
for
100
her.
milligram of just CBD oil.
This is for her.
Yeah. So I got
Yeah.
one for her.
She's not going to take it though, is she?
Okay. So I've got for her and I go, okay, mom, and she's driving me nuts, right? I'm going like, I can't come over when you're in pain, but she's in all the time, right? She needs a hip replaced, right? And she's older and she's bigger, right? So she talks to the pharmacist who we know who's a good pharmacist, and he says, well, come off arthritis and just do Tylenol 1 because of the codeine, right? So she
Yeah.
did that. So this here, I said, cut it. I gave her one yesterday. I said, cut it in half and take half. I said, you're staying home and just see how it does, right? So she took half yesterday and she'd already taken Tylenol 1. So she goes, I don't know what's working. And I'm thinking it's probably both. And I'm trying to explain to her about like Tylenol 3 and Aleve and all these things, like even though they help with pain, blocking pain, because it's a pharmaceutical, it does, the chemical does stuff to your, or can do stuff to your gut, right? Your lining, right?
Right.
So she takes it, and then she took the other half to last night. And I said, so how was that garnish? She goes, yeah, it was better. But she goes, well, I don't know if it was the codeine or if it was the gummy, right? So for her, this makes her feel, if anybody's out there and you want to talk about medicinal, whatever. So this is the lowest THC. I have other stuff. I don't take anything now, but I used to when I had really bad arthritis, right? So she goes, well, maybe it was just a tile. I said, Mom, it's probably a combination of both. But I know that this CBD is helping her because I know what it does for pain, right?
Did she never take any of the ones we gave her before?
No, she tried one of Tammy's once. She goes, it did nothing.
Because we left her a bunch when we were there, remember?
I think her friend Shirley took it and she slept for a couple days. No, I don't know what happened. I don't remember. I think she gave to Tammy. See, the weird thing is, we're all different, right? For some, you think about when you think of CBD and THC, you think of, oh, I'm gonna get high, man,
I
and
know the devil's
I'm gonna
lettuce.
wear bell bottoms, and I'm gonna have a furry stat, and I'm gonna do disco or something,
Such a
right?
shame. Such a shame.
And part of it is it's always about education. Like I said, we'll talk a bit about that later with hate, but so anyways, it worked fine. So I have another one for, so these are 100. So these were like $3 each, almost $3 for one. So I'm going to, where I got it from, I can get a bottle of 50 or 60 for $40 and it's 50. She took a half, right? So I might say, buy this because now it's worked. I'm gonna give her these ones tomorrow.
Is the other
But
one
if
a dropper? Is it a dropper you put in your liquid?
no, she would freak out. This is a gummy.
No, I know, but the one you're talking about getting, have you seen
No,
that? You can
no,
just put a dropper
no,
in.
it's a gel. It's a gel
Oh,
cap.
okay.
She
Because
couldn't do a
apparently it's supposed to
dropper.
drop.
She'd spill it. She couldn't do a dropper because she would hate the taste.
No, you drop it in your coffee. You don't taste it.
That's a Catholic sin to put anything in your coffee besides sugar and milk for her.
Okay. 7 kids, 3 dads. I don't want to hear about
Yeah.
Catholic.
So here's the funny story before we go on to our serious topic.
Yes.
So for those that deal with pain, I've had really bad arthritis. We've all been through probably a good amount of pain. I think CBD is really good. I think they're getting better and better, right? So this was over 3 years ago because Teresa and I still had the townhouse, and so I had I don't know if it was after my knee surgery. Anyways, I was dealing with a lot of pain, right? It was my back, and so I had some. I had certain CBD. It was, I think, a 5-to-1 I was taking, and it was fine, right? And I take it at home, blah blah blah, right? So I go into the place I get it from, and they go, "Oh, we don't." And it's a little like a 90-year-old Indigenous woman. She goes, "No, we don't have that one, but try this one. This one works really good." And I was like, "Okay, sure, whatever, right?" So I get it, and it's a Sunday afternoon. I take one because I have a bulging disc and a pinched nerve in my lower back, right? That I still, they want to
Right
surgery.
into
I don't want surgery, right?
inflammatory.
So I take it, And like a little bit later, I go, okay, Teresa, I'm gonna go have a nap, right? So I go have a nap. She went for a hike, and she comes home. She goes like, and I was up by then. She goes, you okay? You look a little weird. I said, I think I got like buzzed.
Yeah,
So I didn't take that one anymore. I think I gave it to my sister.
that that's funny.
But
Oh my word. So do you think you haven't got any tolerance as you've got older?
with with this,
With yeah, with any of it.
okay, I haven't done anything in 35 years.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm sure if I was a regular user, I don't need it. Like I took it for pain. Like even now, I've got some other gummies like 4 to 1 and 5 to 1, I think, that
Yep.
I don't want mom to try because I don't want her to get like. If her and Shirley want to take one together and laugh and sew and crochet, that would be fun, right?
Eat
But
Doritos and go for a nap.
yeah, I just don't need that buzz.
No, but it's there's something in the synchronicity of the medicinal properties that's why they have those ratios. Even if the
Yeah,
THC was really low, it complements the CBD and then it
yeah,
works together, right? I mean, you can
yeah.
still, and I forget who it was. It was somebody that was telling me, and they're not into the THC, but then I didn't realize, but it makes sense that you can get droppers. Who the heck is that now? It's going to bug me. But, anyways, just in her coffee or tea or whatever every morning, she just puts a little drop in. And I mean, this is the reality
Yeah.
is that we're living beings. Everything we need, well, not everything, but the majority of what we need medicinally is in nature. It's a great anti-inflammatory. The natives have been using it all for years, right? But
Right.
again, it's balance. It's like I'm a lightweight. I'll be the first one to tell you. Um, but but and also, edibles are a lot different than smoking pot. The buzz is different, everything's
Yeah.
different. But that being said, yeah, there's a synchronicity that happens, and there's just so much value in it. But figuring out, of course, the dose that you need and not overdoing it, of course, right? You don't want to gummy and drive.
Well, and so what I think. So first of all, so I've been fortunate at over the years ago, right? Where I've gone to this place that I used to go to, and I've met some of the distributors that have come from Ontario, whatever, manufacturers, right?
Sure.
And so some of these, well, I remember this one guy, young guy, probably 30s, and you know what? Scientifically, he was like on it. He knew what was going on.
Yeah.
I was
Oh my
actually asking
gosh,
for a friend,
amazing.
right?
Yeah.
But so here's the thing. So this is one of the things I'm taking now. Let me put this down. Can you see that or no?
No. Polar
So
bear shows
I'm
face.
taking this thing that's spelled. I'll say it and then I'll brutalize it. Ashwagandha. It's a
Oh.
root.
Oh, it's a root. Okay.
Yeah. And so and it comes with black pepper in it. So I was this guy was explaining to me what the
Is that a
THC.
pill?
Yeah, I've got some there. I'll go grab it in a minute and show you, right?
Okay.
So it's really good for stress, calming, whatever. And I know you may say, oh, so CBD, right? But anyways, so with the THC, because CBD's, we know plant is coming from, right? So
Right.
there's always going to be a residue of THC. But the reason that they do sometimes the 4 to 1 or 5 to 1, they're doing it as much without because there's people that don't want it. But
Yeah.
the THC it helps us digest it. It
Right.
it, it helps us. So same as with this thing here, the black pepper helps our body absorb this root, right? So just give me 1 second. You keep talking. I'm going to
So fascinating though, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
I drink we got to have my buddy Angie on sometime on
Keep
this
going.
topic. I'm still going, but she makes me tea and it's got catnip in it. It's got real spearmint. It's got chamomile. I don't know. And you know what is my like all these things are equally valuable. So they just all have their own different thing. just like a really big item right now that she also makes, anybody in the Sarnia area, her name's Angie Jackson, elderberry syrup.
Yeah,
You notice a lot of people are doing that. I mean, I don't think it like if you want to do CBD, if you want to do elderberry syrup, it's just all about doing something. Just be open to try different things, right? It's unfortunate that it's the, I mean, goes back to that government
it's
just putting the stigma
yeah,
on a medicine. Like it's unfortunate. And
yeah,
that generation that were born in the 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe 50s,
yeah,
that stigma is attached. And when we talk about deep limiting beliefs, right?
yeah.
It's something that's stuck with them. So you certainly can't fault them for that, but just even being open to try something else. There's so many things in nature.
Well, and well, like I said, we're going to talk about like this whole idea about with hatred and kind of on a personal level, then on kind of a societal level, right?
Mhm.
But part of it too. So being born in '61, a couple years earlier than you, what happened
Wow.
was we fear what we don't know, and so like you said, it was like alcohol. Was the thing back in early 1900s when the prohibition came, and they were like, I'm thinking more of the states, right? But they were still making the moonshine, right? And so the Al Capone, all this stuff there, so there's still being money, and so the government realized, okay, we can't stop this thing, but what we want to do is we might as well make some money off it, right?
Right.
But and then same as with smokes, and then you realize, so it's easy to go back. Oh well, they did tobacco back 200 years ago. The indigenous, blah blah blah, right? We traded fur for it, right? and and how just so actually I've got a friend of mine, a hippie dude that doesn't live here anymore, lives up northern BC. He grows his own tobacco.
Oh, neat.
Interesting, right?
It
So all of
is.
these additives and stuff. But so here's the thing: if you can see this now, see that's better.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm gonna look
Let
that
me
up.
do this. Let me do that. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Is it
Ashwant.
is it backwards to you or
No, it's perfect. No,
yeah?
no, it's perfect. Yeah.
So this is energy, stress, memory, improve sleep, right? So I've been on it for a while, and it's great, right? But um, go back to CBD, right? I think we're getting smarter, and I think like people, mom's age and that, they just remember their kids um, getting high. And actually, the joke with mom knows this, it's kind of my story, is that back in my day, early 70s, she had no idea that I mean, I was an honor student, so I did good in school, but like I was high every day.
Yeah.
And then once or twice a month, I wouldn't be high. And she goes, "Oh, what's wrong with you? Are you okay?" I'm going,
I
"I'm
know
okay."
that one.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, and then the fear is stigma that's going to lead to harder drugs. So it's a gateway drug, right?
That's
So,
exactly right. I wrote that
yeah.
down actually.
So we're shifting society. I mean, the government honestly is smart. They got involved with this, which I think is a good thing because uh, well, first of all, they're going to extract it in a better way. I know people that make their own CBD oil stuff, right?
Oh, yeah,
So,
for sure.
but yeah, so I think that's good. But let's go to what I suggested as a topic to you.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And welcome to anybody who's with us. Feel free to join in.
oh, I'm here.
Um,
I'm here, Michelle. No.
oh, hi. Hi, Tom. Nice to have you with us today.
Um, yeah.
Speak.
So Michelle and I, like I said, what we do is we come up with different topics. And part of it is she'll suggest something, like, oh, that's great. And like we're pretty casual with each other, right? So one of the things that as much as last night was a bit of an end for something, I don't think it's going to end. So Michelle and I try not to um, get on here. We're not trying to manipulate political views or people's spiritual religious views, right? We have our own. Like I said, Michelle don't agree on everything, but we get along and we respect each other. So
That's
I
the
was just
problem.
thinking, because my wiring is how we relate and connect, right? And Michelle is a lover of all peoples. She's got great respect, unless you poke her in the eye, then
I was gonna say I have my moments,
yeah,
but for the it's so funny because I don't really have the emotion of hate,
yeah. And
right? I
so
strongly dislike, but you know what's funny, Tom? When I was growing up,
what?
I was taught hate was a bad word.
Yeah. So here's the thing. While I'm putting up some of my stuff up here, I want to dissect hate a little bit. So I'm going to do this because I'm learning to do this more. What is the definition of hate? Feel intense or passionate dislike for someone. Okay, so it's what we knew. There's nothing, no surprise, right? Correct?
Correct.
Okay, sorry. I thought I lost you. Come to the light. Come to the light.
I hate green
Um,
beans. That's what I hate.
there you go. Hate them.
I
But
hate 'em.
but so for me, like Michelle, so I grew up, again, we tell her we grew up in different places, right? I grew up um probably because of some like of the nurture, the lack of nurture I lived in, right? I always tell people I knew my mom loved me, even though we lived in very, very hard times, right? But I knew she loved me. And again, her and I could disagree to disagree, but it wasn't very functional. It was very different, very poor, blah, 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 right? And so, and because of the stuff that I'd been through, I experienced at a young age, and because I was the oldest and took the responsibility of that, um, I'm like you, Michelle. I couldn't hate like,
Mhm.
and maybe I masked it with something, but I didn't. Like I remember being like, again, me and Michelle are transparent here, right? So Michelle's doing my pose right now. I love it.
I know.
Um, and so I think of like my my biological dad has passed away last year.
Bless
Anyways,
you.
but he was a very angry, abusive man. Didn't raise me. Was gone from that when I was 6 or 7. I can't remember, right? But as I grew up, and he was really violent. I don't remember hating him, but I remember being sad, right? I don't remember, because I know some people that some guys I work with that lived in similar situations, and there's this rage that's in them, like they would kill their dad if they could because of what he did, right?
Right.
And I think I was sad. Like I may not even looked it, but I just like you, I didn't have the energy. I think it's a good thing to hate somebody. I just
Right.
didn't have it in me.
Well,
I'm
and I
not an angry. I'm not easily angered. Well, I'm getting older, but I've always tried to be understanding, right? And I'm okay with people that are different than me, right? So back to this whole climate. So what's going on and what's gone on or going on in the States and what's just happened last night and whatever, uh, I have not seen um, on all sides in families I know in the States and Canada how much hatred one person could have for somebody who they love, right? And where I know family members have don't talk to each other, especially more so political reasons in the States, right? And I'm thinking how sad. Like I think of sports teams. So I'm a bit of a hockey guy, right? If my team loses to a team I can't stand, I don't want to lose to, say, everybody hates Toronto, right? But if I don't want to lose to Toronto. Like it's just a game. And so with politics, I think the manipulation, the kind of what's the word I'm thinking of, not the identity, the how they're communicating, what the narrative, there's a word, how they're doing this. And you think about a younger age, like, you know, another example, mom was robbed when I was like early teens, worked at a gas station and was robbed, right? By a black, we lived in a high Jamaican family. So I wasn't taught to fear Jamaican, young Jamaican man, but mom lived in that fear of that, obviously, right? So, but she didn't hate, she just lived in fear. So, anyways, I just thought it'd be an interesting to talk through. And if you're wrestling with, if anybody's wrestling with hate, and maybe use a different word, but something like that is like taking poison. We have to. I really think it's important to kind of be able to understand it and have some tools to kind of get it out of our system. Right? Is that fair?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, 100%. And I think there's so many more deep parts to it. So, like when you're it's almost like when you're not forgiving somebody, then like when you're carrying all that hate towards a person, they're not feeling it, they're not getting the results of it, you're only hurting yourself. But I think doing a deep dive is so very important, because there's other emotions. Like, so what is hate? Is it fear? Is it sadness? Is it disappointment? Are you Fear is a big one, right? That's what's going on right now. Fear of what might be that's probably not even true, like, because it's all going on in your head, right? And when it makes me think a lot about algorithms, right? Like, because we're all a victim of it. We're in such a weird time, because unless you're on Twitter or X, we're all, and I mean, it's still got the algorithms, but it's not with, it's just a little bit different. But I think, realizing, like, in that moment, so when I react to things in a negative way or an angry way, and it's usually verbally or in my head, and I automatically respond, I have to put myself in check, and I have to fine tune that emotion, right? So, and I think that's probably why I say I don't hate. I'm very disappointed in people or whatever. Like, we've got other, emotions going on. But I think just, yeah, breaking it down, like, really, what is the emotion you're feeling? So I just want to share a chart here. I looked up today, and I've seen the similar before, but if you look down at the bottom, see it's got fear, grief, desperation, display. Can you read
To
it?
make it bigger,
No, I
that's okay.
can't.
I'll squint.
Okay, so it's starting at the bottom, right? Is fear, grief? Is it grief, desperation, despair, powerlessness?
Yeah.
That was actually my topic in my workshop today.
Interesting.
Dealing with things that you don't have control over. And then another one, guilt, unworthiness, insecurity, jealousy. Like,
Yeah.
so hate is that big umbrella that you're responding. And, like, look how far it goes up. We've got hate, rage, revenge, anger, discouragement, blame, worry, doubt, disappointment. Like, we go all the way up 12 before it starts, oh, pessimism, boredom, and then it starts to flip over a little bit. But these are all emotions. Like, a lot of times we think, well, there's love. This is the way I think of it. There's two emotions, love and hate, but everything else is a spin-off of it, right? Because when you get up near the top, positive expectation, beliefs, enthusiasm, like the whole, see the emotion, that energy we talk about changes just as you go through the different ones. Like, do you very often break down, like, hate and revenge? Like, how many times are we driven by revenge, right? Like, oh, that's stupid. You know what? I'll cut him back off because he cut me off. Or what, like, that's probably a terrible example, but a lot of times, like, when you look at people who break up, and then, oh my gosh, 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, they're still so angry and so full of hate. And you think, like, you're not doing the deep dive to realize, well, why are you, like, who are you disappointed? Are you disappointed in yourself? Did you have unreal expectations? Because 20 years later, chances are there's been some joy. There's
Yeah.
been, you know what I
And
mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's interesting. The whole thing is very fascinating.
Yeah. And some of the courses I've taken, there's been different, like with some of the people, I'll send them this thing and there'll be a graph circle and they'll have this emotion and these kind of it's layered and they
Oh,
don't
so like an onion.
work perfectly, right?
Yep.
Totally right. And so, have you heard of a term called othering?
Not off the top of my
Othering,
head.
othering. So let me tell you what it is because it's what we're talking about. So you and me, we're very similar way. We're inquisitive, so we like to learn. We're not threatened by
Right.
learning, right? So um, the thing about before I say what othering is, I wrote down a couple notes what you're just saying, right? See, the thing about like to know what hate is, and hate, like that could be an easy word people use. Like, here's a funny thing. Oh man, I hate mushrooms. Oh, I hate tofu.
I
So,
hate green
in the
beans.
context of what they're using hate for, did you look up othering? I knew you
Oh,
did. Tell me what it
no.
is, what it says.
Oh, no, I was going to, but I was going to let you finish.
Okay.
Did you
Did you
want me to
find
look
it
it
though?
up? I can look it up.
Well,
I'm
I have it here,
good
but if you want to
handy.
look it up, I
Okay.
can send you some stuff. Yeah. So the thing is, we go, oh, I hate mushrooms, and so I'm using a silly example, right? Well, why do you hate mushrooms? Mushrooms never do anything to you. Type, joke, right? So part of understanding hate is an emotion, and it's an aggressive emotion. And hate, like you say, can come from sadness, and there's these things. So othering is a term. Hello, lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do
I'm just use the word hate.
you
I
want me to
love
read
it.
it?
So I'm going to read it for you.
Okay.
See if it models up. Okay. In the simplest sense, othering is the process of emphasizing difference between human beings and using them as justification for boundaries or hierarchies. So if we take it further, it means that maybe we tell ourselves, well, no, I'm not being mean. But this othering, this thing about hate is a very separation. And when you do that, you almost always lift yourself up by your values and views than somebody else. Now you can have different values and views. Somebody can like meat, and somebody's a vegan, so you can have differences of views. But the thing about hate and the thing about like anger and resentment, the things this list you share, it's really about and what I believe is taking is needing to control, right? Um, we're enhancing they're enhancing their own power. So we were using the example of what the politics that are going on the stage, right? And the U.S. Now, I'm not as familiar with a whole bunch of other cultures. Europe a little bit, Canada, of course, right? But the polarization of religion and segregation of group and like and if you don't love everybody, then you hate like all of these types of things. I've never seen anything amped up as much as I have in the last 10 years. And I had a friend share something today who doesn't like Trump, right? And I was shocked. This friend, I was sad actually, by the way, of the bitterness and anger. This guy is very intelligent, smart person,
Mhm.
and I don't reply to a lot of this stuff. So I was sad, right? Because this is somebody I've known for 40 years.
Yeah.
So I did my response to their thing and I hit send and my response was good. It was like saying, man, like I'm shocked. Like your venomous reply is what you're accusing what you don't like about this person, right?
Right.
And but they don't see it because hate will blind you, right? So then what I did is then I took it off 2 minutes later and
That's
then
what
I
I
saw
do.
a disclaimer. I've never done that. Then I saw a disclaimer, but I went and looked at it later. I was telling somebody about it. They don't know this person. And then I saw after my post, there was a disclaimer that notifications are turned off and or comments or whatever, right?
Oh, okay.
So
People don't like that.
so understanding that emotionally, releasing this pent up frustration, anger, hurt, sad, like all of these we call negative emotions. They don't have to be negative. Like we're okay to be sad, but so
For sure.
when it gets like this, I always go like, why? Why are you threatened? Why people that are not evil people that I know are so like what it because I think it's something in
Fear.
them, right?
Yeah.
There's
These
something
people.
in them. Well, it's about control, right? So, and here's the challenge with us in our day now, and I know you know this because we talk about kind of how we look for stuff. In these times, the the enabled disinformation, insensitivity, you can find anything you want to if you like it's like if you want to find a group of 10 friends that believe that we think the world is the center of the world is like an Easter egg and filled with chocolate and candy, you can find those people. They're out there somewhere, right?
Mhm.
So we have this. You can validate your um, conviction and feelings, like, and we'll use horrible stuff, right? A horrible situation. You think of people that have died, that people that have been murdered. I think over in the war, we don't see that, but with Thanksgiving coming up, I was just thinking, like, man, we have no idea the people that fought back in the day when they fought wars the way they fought wars, World War
Yeah.
II, the people that fought for our freedom. We have, if we can be transported there and watch
Oh boy, yeah.
our generations, we would be humble. The price families paid losing like so so there's this thing about like how do you deal with these things, right? So let me share a couple things. I'm going to share 3 points. I'm going to share one and you throw in your thoughts, okay?
Okay.
Here, so here's three different kind of things about this thing about hate, using hate as a ambiguous anger, frustration, pain, right? First, people use othering. They're using the word othering to make sense of the world, right? Some scholars will say that others take hold because individuals are attracted to their moral clarity. So it makes to them, for whatever reason, us versus them. So
Yeah.
I'm talking more social than your older brother gave you a wedgie. I don't know, whatever, right? So this fear of others, we feel it gives us more, I don't know, safety, summary, that it's us versus them, right?
Right.
Thoughts? Any thoughts on that? Or that makes sense, right?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. I think so. My definition of othering was the act of treating someone as though they are not part of a group and are different in some way. So, stereotyping is basically what it is. So, I think, yeah, I've seen a lot of it too. I think a lot of things. I I think there's better ahead, but I think there's just we're such victims of our environment. I think because I'm like you, I'm seeing hate in people that is shocking, but it's so authentic. It's so like I can almost hear the fear in their voice of and there's so much propaganda, there's so much coming at them. Oh my gosh. It's like I'm compassionate to them, but at the same time, they need to expand their horizons. So, um, yeah, it's change. There's so many different things. It's a deep subject.
Yeah, and so and in the content side, I'm just thinking, but I just learned that yesterday because I was just doing some homework, right?
Hmm.
But it's so in the ways I'm talking about, I'm talking more of a social,
Yeah,
like like I'm not going to use any groups. So I say like so it's about self-knowledge. So here's a second one of the second things they say, right? People use otherings as a mean to enhance their own social position. So if we think of high school, you went to high school, right?
I did.
I'm teasing you. I'm totally teasing you.
Nah, it's fine.
Um, so when I went to high school, I went, we are poor, Scarborough, and I went to a school called West Hill Collegiate. So whoever's in Ontario, if you know the school in Scarborough, it's fine. And it's kind of a smart kid school, rich school, right? So I was smart, but I was picked on and bullied, right? So bullying is another example of, and you sometimes get bullies that out of their own fears
I was
You can
just
have
gonna
bullies
say
that are
that. Yeah,
small.
why do you think you got bullied?
I know now. So quick. Here's how I got bullied. We had a Olympic sized swimming pool in our school, so pretty cool,
Yep,
right? So I'd go swimming, right? And then
yep.
so there was a guy. I remember his name. His name's Peter. I know his last name. I'm not saying it.
Oh, good.
And he was. I don't remember. Like I was smaller, grade 9 to 10. This went to grade 13. So I think grade 9, 10. I think it was start grade 9. I was smaller, and so I remember in gym class before the teacher came there, we had swimming as one of our things we did one semester, whatever, right? And this guy would hold me under the water until I couldn't breathe, which is incredibly dangerous. It's mean, right? But in a way, so he was brutal, right? So I remember
Yeah.
2 years being that, like not every week or whatever, but he was very mean, right? And I think it was grade 11 in that summer between 10 and 11, I had a growth spurt, put on about 20 pounds, grew a couple inches, right?
Good. Yeah.
And so he didn't, first day of school, didn't recognize me, saw him in the hallway, popped him right in the nose.
Did you?
You know what? I got suspended for a couple of days.
And it was worth it.
And so here's the funny thing on my end. So this whole thing about position, right? So, and here's the thing about othering or bullying or hate, right? There's people on the other side of hate going, use another great example, by the way. After 9/11, I have lots of friends that are Muslim friends or Sikh, whatever, right? And all of a sudden, and back then I flew a bit more for like holidays, different things, right? And if you saw a brown person on a plane with a turban, you were scared,
Mm.
right? You were scared. There's this association and this fear, right? So part of it is and now we're not as fearful. I don't believe. I think socially we've come
Oh, I
through
think
that. We
we're
don't think
past that
everybody's an
now. Yeah.
extremist, right? Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So the second thing, and so the thought of this idea of placing them higher. So I realized when I went through like lots of the stuff I needed to get for healing with this fellow drowning me, the way, so dealing with, I don't know if I hated him. I probably did in some
You
way, right?
probably
Like
did in the moment.
he he made me not feel good about myself, and I already
Yeah.
didn't feel good about myself, right? So, but I know years and years later, I remember like working through some of that, and I think I'm going to use the word sad, but I'm going to use the word compassion. I started realizing I felt sad for him because I felt like for whatever reasons he didn't have enough confidence in himself that he had to minimize people,
Oh,
right?
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So
That's right. It was him that was
so now
flawed.
here's the third one. Here's the third one. So check this out, right? Third, this is from a psychologist in the States, and he says, and perhaps most importantly, people are motivated to engage in hating, othering, because they see it erroneously as a path to find their own belonging.
That's right.
So back to Peter, for whatever reason amongst his friends. Now, this is a school at 16, all the rich kids had like new Mustangs or whatever, right? I did, right? I walked to school. And so in this hierarchy, and I don't remember, he wasn't at the bottom, was the highest, but for whatever reasons internally, it made him feel better to show his rage and anger to belittle, right? So
Absolutely.
it's
And you know what, though? It could be something that you'll never even know. It could be the girl he liked was always watching you. You know what I mean? Like, and this is the thing is that it's like when you have somebody that's a bully, or look at Mean Girls for an example. Every school's got Mean Girls. Everybody knows a Mean Girl. I was never a Mean Girl, but I was a victim of Mean Girls. And like, what's so that's jealousy, envy, right? The same thing. Power in numbers, so they feel strength and control. But you have to, again, exactly like you said, put the compassion back to them and realize
yeah,
a lot of times the bully is the kid that's getting beat at home, right? Like
yeah.
they're learning that somewhere.
And I think with this hate or bullying things we're talking about, right? So I'm getting comfortable here again. I think finding understanding, like we would never, like I don't believe like you you show anger to anger force first. Part of it, you got to make sure you're okay, your brain's okay, your heart's okay,
Yeah.
right? But I think like, so let's go back to what's going on, right? So the rhetoric, it's so interesting. Again, another guy I follow who's a political analysis in the States, but he's not a part of any of the mainline stuff, right? So he said he was talking about posturing, right? He was talking about like the narrative that different sides could use is they need to create a monster on the other side, because we look at our leaders politically or different things. Well, we don't all look at them as heroes. We think most of them are flawed.
Mhm.
I do, anyways, right? We're human, right? But they're in places
Of
of
course.
power, right? But so all of a sudden you have this sense where these are people in authority that are manipulating you, and they're they're not just intensifying you to hate, they're actually embedding in you to hate. So
That's right.
you see people, so talking to somebody today, a family member today, who was talking to another family member today. This isn't me, you, or Tammy, or whatever. And
Somebody.
politically, one person was so amped up on one side, and so one's an aunt and one's a niece. So that's what
Okay.
I'm talking about. And it wasn't your family. It wasn't like, just
No.
so don't bug your daughter, right? So it wasn't me, no. And so I was saying this moment going like, how do we how do we get there? And I know personality types, some of us are like more like not aggressive in a negative way, but go-getters, right? But here's a couple of thoughts, right? So part of what it is, so in the in the States, and this can happen in like I sell coffee, right? You knew that, right?
Yeah, I knew that. I heard that. Yeah.
Just checking. Yeah. So it's easy for in industries that I work that we think that we've got the best coffee, we're the best, right?
Yeah.
And I understand that. I don't know if that's just a guy thing. I understand that, right? You know what? We've got great coffee. Is there other good coffee? There's lots of good coffee, right? So when we have like sports teams or ethnic groups or whatever, it's very easy to validate your self worth in a group or individually by putting this wall or these supposed truth against somebody else. That's why the whole misinterpret the fake news thing, the song I wrote that I haven't found yet. Anyways, the fake news thing is they're trying to shift the narrative to a place where they want it to be. They want you to focus on this person's
Exactly.
this or that policy is that, right?
So
And
true.
here's another thing with it too, entitlement, right? So
Absolutely.
there's something you say this, and again, I have so much respect for you, right? You when we can learn to be at peace with ourselves,
Yeah.
and like we all have good and bad things happen, but not be a victim, because become a victim is very easy to blame, to find some
So
place
much
externally
easier.
to validate.
Yeah.
Oh, the stupid doctor, the stupid, right?
Yeah.
So this thing about you want to get rid of hate, and we'll talk about it in a minute. If you want to get rid of hate, you got to kind of look within. You said this earlier,
Break
and
it
you got to
down.
kind of address yourself. And you may not get all the answers, but if you can learn to bring in, get rid of the stinking thinking we talked about. But
Yeah.
if you can recognize in yourself, going, I don't know why that amps me up. I don't know why,
Exactly.
right? Like I tell you, with and again, mom won't be on here, but she can beat me up if she wants to. Well, she can't catch me,
Yeah,
anyways.
you're okay.
Um, but we have a really hard time talking about religion, because she'll say something, and then I have to catch myself saying, "Oh, she's 80," and I'm not making excuses for her, but if people speak, if they manipulate what they call truth, so somebody puts a truth tag on it, like, and depending what they say, I have a hard time with it, right?
Right.
So anyway, so I'm owning that stuff. But here's a quote. Here's a little bit of a story from a guy named Albert Marshall. He's an elder from the Moose clan of the Micmac Nation in Canada. and he explains the key of success of their civilization. He says it has to be rich in connectiveness, right?
Yeah.
He says he describes a healthy society like the interconnected root of a tree, and the sense of our receptivity, anyways, whatever, I don't care, of connected to other people. What's that?
I was just saying the word
Say the
connect
word because you're gonna
connectivity.
say it.
Connectivity.
No, no. RECIPROCITE
Oh,
CITY. Re.
oh shit. Reciprocity.
I didn't
We
plan that,
know
but hey, that was
to
fun. Re,
reciprocate.
re,
We're related.
yeah, reciprocate. Hmm. He says, so this is what I love, right? And I know that I believe this will resonate with you. When we engage in hating or othering, we are not just degrading people who aren't like us. We're attempting to place ourselves above this pattern of belonging. And what happens is this, and it could be subconsciously. That's why you've got to kind of figure this out, right? Because I'm telling you, you'll live being miserable, and
Oh,
you may be good for 28 days out of 30 days, and then 2 days of the month, because you haven't dealt with something, you're going to take it out on somebody. Like this is Michelle's joking about, we don't know what the driver who cut us off, what his day's like. Maybe his dad died. We don't know, right?
yeah,
And I'm even going to take that a step further. I don't really need to know that. It's
that's
good to
right.
know.
That's
I
right.
I need to, if somebody's unsafe, we can say, oh, that's unsafe, right?
Oh,
But
sure.
to cause us to rage or to our temperature to go up, we have the ability to control that, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yep, exactly right. And I think, just sort of, and again, you have to do all this when you're in a cold state, not when you're hot and emotional, but just sort of breaking it down. Like, how did this get to be to this point? I mean, that's another thing too, because hate is like a slow drip, right?
Yeah,
It's just like that coffee you make. And hate also, circling back to the beginning of our conversation about anti-inflammatories, when you feel hate, you feel stressed, you're tense, your heart is racing. There's so many unhealthy things about it. And then as a result, you end up in distress. And then you're a victim because you blame it on that, what, that makes my blood boil, blah, blah, blah. But if when you think and you look back, so think about somebody who really rubs you the wrong way. And then to think about, oh, they say that one thing, it makes me cringe. Somebody else could say exactly the same thing. It wouldn't push your buttons, right? So it's accumulating over time, and when it comes to the othering as well, I think a
right.
lot of part of that as well is it could stem from limiting beliefs. It could stem from
Yeah,
just so many deep things. Like, where on earth did you get the idea that you're better than anybody? Like entitlement, right? Or whatever. Everything is we're such an intense, awesome, amazing being that everything is like those roots of the trees, right? They're all
yeah,
intertwined and everything. Everything's related. There is no coincidences, but it's over time, like that it's like just chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. I mean, if you stab me with a toothpick, I'm not going to die. But if you stab me with a toothpick every day for 3 years, I'm going to be sore and probably bleeding. Do you know what I mean? And that's the way it is, especially with these tough emotions, is that it's slow and steady. It could be that person reminds me of somebody, right?
yeah,
Oh, that person, he reminds me of my dad. He gets that, just for an example, he gets that look in his eye, or says
yeah,
that say, or whatever it is. And then right away, it's like we talked a couple weeks ago about, if you don't clean up your own baggage, you can't move into the next relationship. Say that's a prime example right there of what we're talking about, right? and
yeah,
and it was like, there's so many deep emotions, that we don't, and I mean, we're only human, right? These things come up. That's when we go through them, but there's so many deep things that are inside our psyche from all of our experiences, all the things where I'm really on a thing with these algorithms lately because I think they really cause so much turmoil. And I get that they have some positive purpose, but exactly in this scenario, hate, hate, hate. This isn't good. Despair is ahead. I'm trying to be careful my verbiage because I don't want us to get any strikes. But when you're seeing that negativity, right? Well, we're going to go down the drain. This is going to be terrible. This is going to be this, that, and the other thing. It starts to play on you. That's why when you're reading stuff today, and I'm glad I didn't see that much, considering the majority of the people didn't, aren't thinking that way. But, when you look at it, you can almost feel the pain from their words. They
Yeah.
truly believe, which, if you're not um, laser focused on, uh, I'm not even calling it mainstream media anymore because different channels that have gone independent, I think are more mainstream now. But if
Yeah.
you have laser focus on the sky is black, the sky is black, the sky is black, you're going to wake up all the time thinking the sky is black. It's just the way that it is, right?
Yeah.
And then anybody else, oh geez, like, and yeah, it's just so interesting. I really think we're testing ourselves as humans, but of course I always think everything's a little bit deeper, but I really do, like, we're so broken apart, not just on politics and religion, on, like, vegans, not vegans, processed food, not progress food, processed food, keto, weight watch, like all the different, instead of just saying, hey, let's all just try to be more healthy. I don't care what you're going to do, just let's just
Yeah.
all go in the same direction, right? Or
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who the leader is, and that's our country, their whatever, but let's just go in the same direction. It should just be a matter of fine tuning the details, right? Instead of feeling like we're moving around the lawn chairs on the Titanic. Like, that's not the way it has to be. Everything is not all or nothing, right? The world is gray, and that's reality. So I think, but there's so much growth for us when we put
Yeah.
ourselves in check, and when we acknowledge we're here to change and grow, right? We're always changing and growing and evolving.
Yeah. I think building what you said, I was thinking what we were talking about earlier about gummies. So I'm going to use that as an example. It's fun, right? But it actually comes down to values, and sometimes um, if somebody's a strong personality or character, they can manifest their values on you. So I'll use for an example. We'll go live there. We use Hitler, Germany, Second World War, right? So you get this guy who comes in, is very charismatic, who actually took a country out of depression, and but because of some whatever components inside him, right?
Hmm.
So, and there's lots of, you think of political, the good and bad of communism, whatever some you might like. You think of power, people with power, and all of a sudden, um, people will because they want to be like them, or there's something about that that they'll take on their values, even if they're not, right? So the thing I was thinking, I'll go to gummies, right? And the other thing too with hatred is hatred. The problem with emotion like hatred is it is like the boiling pot of anxiety. And in anxiety, there's fear and dread and uneasiness, and it's all of this emotional, and some of it manifests physically, and it takes over you, and it actually makes you sick.
Oh,
It can like
consumes you.
poison your mind,
Absolutely.
poison your body, poison your life, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we're going to see some of that, throwing that in the States. And next year election in Canada, we're going to see some of that in Canada. There'll be people who don't know how to handle, doesn't matter what party gets in. We're allowed to have our preferences, what we believe, right?
Of course. That's right.
I was telling somebody today in the States, because they said it's all about policy, policy, policy. I said, no, that's not. I said, my opinion is that's not true, because there's, like, in my industry, we have a saying, people buy from people they like, which is the way it is, right? We easily sympathize with people in some if they have similar values, right? So it could be policy, but you may go, oh, that person's like, I've said this before, politics, Canada 8 years ago, the vote for Trudeau was actually majority, in my opinion, a vote against Harper. People didn't like Harper. He was boring. He was whatever, right? So, and there's bits of, understand me, I can see your eyes moving. There's bits and bobs of both, but there's people that aren't, it's not about a vote for you. So there's some people, I'm going to pick on the guy who bullied me. You know what? I was an easy target, but you know why he bullied me? He wanted to show his power to his friends.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Didn't care
That's
about
right.
me, right? But here, let me throw a few more things out here at you, right? So the part of the feeling when we hate, going into that VH word, sometimes there's a feeling of betrayed. Sometimes there's conflict or unresolved issues or negative interactions. If, like again, using a silly example, you're walking through a mall or in a store, and you're just kind of, hey, chilling, fun, and then somebody bumps into you and says, what, get on my way, like, so you got an angry person. So you had this situation, all of a sudden that person's stealing your joy, you know what I mean, right? So all of a sudden we can have things, if we don't resolve these things, they'll eat you, right? I was telling this to my daughter, not to do with hate, but just in general, of becoming well, emotionally, mentally, physically, whatever, all of them, right? Is you she got out of a difficult relationship. A lot of people relate, right? And if she doesn't work through, and I believe through counseling or therapy, and usually with those guys, it's not about a fix it. I've got down here quick, because of what we were talking about earlier, because this is our culture, right? Give me a pill this quick, give me this, give me that. And even with resolving tension or brokenness or whatever thing, some stuff doesn't come quick. So I was telling my daughter, I said, like, you may feel that you're talking to this person for a year and not getting anywhere. But what I know about counseling, in my experience, is it's not me giving somebody a to do in this, even though there could be things to work through. It's almost always self-discovery. All of a sudden they go, use somebody who deals with insecurity. All of a sudden, somehow they go, you know what? No, I can do that. My daughter didn't get her driver's license. She was fearful of driving until she was in a situation that forced her to have to get a license, right? But I've got 5 ways to stop hating someone or something, right?
Okay.
You're going to check all of these, my dear.
All right.
And they're not, I don't think in any special order, but they're important. Practice empathy and understanding. You get an A+ on that.
Ooh.
Because you will rather look at somebody's bad or negative behavior. You will put yourself of not knowing what's behind the scene, so it gives you the grace to deal with it, right?
Right.
Number 2, focus on forgiveness. In a way, you get an A+ again. You're a good student today.
Do I get a prize?
You're going to get I don't have pom-poms, but imaginary one, right?
Oh, the imaginary is still good. I'll take it.
So, and this is important for all of us. And if you're not there, it's okay. We're all on a journey. Michelle wasn't like, we learned this through life.
They're all things to work on, one at a
So
time.
forgiveness, the attitude of forgiveness is attitude. And like Michelle says, she goes, I don't understand. Maybe that person is grumpy and mean because ABC, right? So she is making a conscious choice. She's probably practiced that and become a learned behavior, a muscle, right?
I have my
So
hand up.
walking in forgiveness, I've seen, Michelle, I've heard some of the most insane stories of people walking in mercy and forgiveness. That quick story, go look it up. A couple of Calgary, 90 years old. They were doing missionary work in Africa, I think South Africa. What they're white, and they were a gang came upon them of Afrikanis.
Mhm.
They they beat the husband, 90 years old. They beat him, thought he was dead, and I know this is hard for people. I apologize for it. They raped and killed his wife.
Oh no.
And this guy came back. And this is a few years back, right? And and they were doing a story about it in a local paper in Calgary. And he said, like, I forgive them. He goes, it's hard. I'm not like disengaging from pain, right?
No.
But if I don't forgive them, we've heard the saying, I'm poisoning myself.
That exactly. That's huge. I don't know that I don't know. We don't know unless we're in the situation. I
We won't know.
struggle thinking I could do that, but I don't know.
So
That's
number three, so
yeah.
you're A plus, A plus. Let's see if you get
Okay.
another A plus.
Okay.
Engage in, so you give yourself a grade. You don't be scared to grade high or low, whatever, right?
Oh, I'm not.
Engage in self-reflection.
I do that a lot.
So what do you give yourself?
An A.
A plus. I'm giving you
A
A plus.
plus. A
I knew
plus.
you were gonna you put it down. You get
But
like
I
90.
would like to add
Hey, go ahead.
years and years and years and years of reflecting, right? And learn. And I think with that like with the practice, empathy, understanding, and forgiveness, the day I decided every human I interact with, I am going to imagine that they are my sibling, because we've got a lot. That really shifted, like, so in interaction, because I have my
Hey,
snippy.
there's another brother, it's another sister.
um when it's like, so I can put myself in check by thinking, would I have said that same thing I said snippy to the Walmart clerk? Would I have said the same thing to you? No. So it's a way to put myself in, but now it's pretty natural that I do it. But I had to literally go through that activity. If Because we should treat everybody equal. I
Yeah,
should treat everybody like they're my brother or sister.
yeah. It's muscle memory, right? So
It
for those
is.
that don't know, talk about self reflection. It's not navel gating, but it's actually, I call awareness, self awareness, right? So
Absolutely.
so self reflection can help you understand the causes of your hatred and how it affects your life, right? So sometimes I use this example often. You get a man comes home, hard day at the office, kicks his dog. We're gonna get out of your dumb dog. And then later after dinner, and he's settled down a bit, then he go, hey, come here, come. Calls his dog over. Dog does come over. Well, what the heck's that about, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes we become self-absorbed. What was the word I used that I did it wrong on the thing and you corrected me? Imploding,
Reciprocity.
imploding.
Imploding. Oh, no. Yes, correct.
So
Exactly.
so the thing is, if like seriously, and we live in a world where you know what, we want the quick way, physically, Hollywood, we don't want to be our natural self, so we're getting Botox and Botox and the Botox and facelifts and all that. And I'm
Filters.
for those that are on here, if you're a woman or a man, but if you're a woman and you like to look good, I am not. There's no judgment.
Nothing wrong
Please
with that.
understand it. You have to be confident in yourself first. If you're not,
That's right.
you will, if you don't love yourself, right? So the thing about this self-reflection and allow it to be a tool, like Michelle says, or that I've learned to do. Like I used to wonder, like, why was I molested? Why was I bullied? Why was,
Yeah,
and then you think, well, it must be me, right?
right,
And then as a kid, right, you don't know any
right.
better, right? So this thing about self-reflection helps you. And if you journaling is a really good thing, because we'll get these sporadic memories or pictures or images or words, and they may not make sense, but when you look back, they'll be a good tool. So here's number 4: seek therapy or counseling.
Love it. Yes.
Have you had counseling throughout your life, part of your life?
I have. Yep.
Okay, I'll give you a B plus then. No.
Okay. Okay.
Here's the last
No,
one.
yeah.
So last one.
Last
No, we're
one.
getting late. I'll let you finish up here. And and by the way, before I do the last one, because you're gonna get A plus again, by the way. Um, if
Do
you
we need
haven't
a
looked at the
sticker?
video Michelle shared 2 days ago
I think so.
about
Yeah,
the
yesterday
guy
and the day before.
about
Oh,
just that, can you reshare it again?
I can, yeah.
You shared it, but just so it goes back to the top of the page.
Yep,
So our perspective and perception of life will hold you in a snare, and what maybe take like a year to work through with self love and the way you look at the world can take you 50, 60, 70 years, right? Number
exactly.
5. So these are 5 steps to deal with hate. Self hate is a big one, just so you know. Self hatred is actually probably the bigger roots in some ways, in my opinion, right? Number 5, practice mindfulness and meditation, my sister.
Yes.
Do you get a pom
When are
pom?
we doing meditation as a topic? We
You can
should.
talk about that. You want to do it next week?
Sure. I'm
Okay.
all for that. It's a great
So
idea.
so here's I'm going to throw it through you. So Michelle and I think we may do meditation a little bit different, but it doesn't matter. Michelle will have a lot of tools. She's got probably way more experience in different vehicles. You got to understand meditation is a vehicle, right? But here, Michelle, a simple mindful exercise such as focusing on your breath or doing a body scan. So I'm going to leave that till next week. I'll say what this meditative thing
Yeah,
about a body scan is.
I
Pretty
love it.
interesting.
Good.
Gradually add loving kindness meditation when you send positive selves to your thoughts and others, including the person you hate. So in a way that you what you do naturally, like we're talking about strangers, but if and I'm kind of getting goosebumpy a little bit, like not in a like excited way, but kind of hopefully it's an awareness way. um, you want to take the power and pain from, especially if you've been abused and you've been traumatized and all that. So again, Michelle and I would never devalue and
That's right.
take away from walking through the pain. You have to learn to take the power away from those people. You
Exactly.
have to. You
That's
have
right.
to. And because else you will stay stuck. Now, how you look in this sense of freedom, we can all look different. We can be, black as Michael Jackson, black or white. I don't know. I can't remember the rest of the song. I'm black or white, but you, I didn't. I don't sing very well.
You
My
sing
sister
great.
gave me
What's
an A
happening?
plus,
Um,
but I hope we don't get banned for me singing Michael Jackson song. Well, they won't recognize it's a Michael Jackson song.
well, this is true. This is true. But you know what? I think, like, when you think, and it ties in so much with that stinking thinking,
Yeah,
because I mean, we hate in our life a lot of things so unjustly
yeah,
or so, what's the word, like in an empty way, right? So like you could hate something out of envy, but then when you really think about it, it's not something you wanted anyways. So let's go a bit deeper on that again, right? So because we've all, like, that fear of missing out, right? That's a real thing, right? And
yeah,
a lot of times when you think, when people are, they're they're hateful, I hate the 1%. That's a great example. I don't.
yeah.
I'm just saying. So people say, "Oh, I hate the 1%." So then, well, why do you hate the 1%? Well, because they're greedy, because they have all that money that they're not sharing. Well, why would they share it with you? Well, how do you know they're not sharing it? How do you, right? How do you know that they had to um dishonor other people, or steal and lie, or whatever that you've tied in with that? How do you know that that's true? You don't, right? Like, and so this is where those limiting beliefs, maybe what you're seeing on TV or what you're watching, what you're surrounding yourself with, that's all that's laying that path. And then you're just rolling down it by the wind, not even just saying, like, your brain is sort of running on default. um is that your dog? Oh, so that's, I can keep this fine. So that's all, like, do we all get caught up in that? But if you don't stop, so here's an
I'm
interesting,
listening to you.
that's okay. So, like, you go through different parts of your life, and when you notice, and again, going back to tuning into your emotions, when you notice the way you're responding or what what your reaction is to something, it's just so important that you dig down and you ask yourself some of those questions we've talked about before. Like, is this real? Is what I'm thinking lying? Right? Am I lying to myself? Or is what I'm basing this on truth? Right? Sometimes maybe you heard something about somebody and you're like, oh, well, I know so and so told me whatever about that person, so I'm not going to trust them. Well,
Right.
they didn't wrong me. You should just file that away, but
Trace.
then move forward, right? Is somebody there to cook us dinner?
I'm trying to call Teresa over. She's ignoring us.
Are you just talking to?
No, we're live.
No.
Ethan, put your face in.
Text me later, Teresa. Text me later.
Okay. Well, what we'll do, we've gone an hour and a half. We're almost as bad as Joe Rogan. So
Oh, we're only halfway to Joe Rogan.
next week we'll talk about meditation, right, Michelle?
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to do that. That would be
Okay.
great. Excellent.
I'm going to say bye.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming. Have an amazing week.